Welcome to Poland Daily History with me, Nicholas Richardson. And in the event of recent developments in Israel, we're going to look at Polish-Israeli relations in recent years. And I'm delighted to have with me in the studio Adam Starzyński. Adam, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
And I suppose the modern era of Israeli-Polish relations really starts in the aftermath of the Second World War.
Absolutely. As you mentioned, this relationship is quite special. Naturally, people tend to forget about it today. Maybe it's not as noticeable today as it was, say, in 1960, for example. But considering that more than 3 million Jews lived in Poland before the Second World War, a large part of the total world Jewish population, it also meant that Polish Jews who had in many ways been quite steeped into Polish culture, spoke the Polish language. Many of them were the founding fathers of the Israeli state, especially considering that the Ashkenazi Jews had a disproportional influence on the creation of the Jewish state compared to the Sephardic Jews or the Mizrahi Jews. So many influential politicians were born in Poland. David Ben-Gurion, the first leader of Israel, Menachem Begin, Shimon Peres, the list is long. Nevertheless, there were also issues. Naturally, the experiences that many of them had during the Second World War in Poland were something that complicated the issue, and not here to the fault of the Poles in general, but it's just the fact that when 93.45% of the Jewish population in Poland was murdered by the Germans during the Second World War, the survivors were few, and this trauma simply that they experienced on this land, even if not to any fault of the Polish population, still created these negative connotations in the minds of many. Also, another problem is that due to the fact that Poland ended up on the side of, or rather was taken over by the Soviet Union, to be frank, after the Second World War, meant that Poland had a foreign policy that was not independent. They had to follow the lead of the Soviet Union, and the way that that the pieces on the chessboard fell after the war, it meant that the U.S. was the supporter of the newly founded Israeli state, while the Soviet Union was an ally of the Arab states surrounding Israel. And Poland, as well as the rest of the Soviet satellite states, they had to adopt a Soviet stance on foreign policy. But if we go back even before the war, the Israeli state was in the making for quite a while, even before the war. Naturally, at the start of the 20th century, you have the birth of Zionism in the late 19th century, clearly modeled on the same type of nationalism that was very popular throughout the Western world at that time. Initially born in Germany with Herder, but they quickly adapted it. The Jews that were in Poland were also inspired by the fact that the Poles managed to regain their state, their independence in 1918 after 123 years of partitions. That inspired some of the Jews who said that, sure, we have not been ruling in Palestine for more than a millennia and a half, but if the Poles could do it after 123 years, technically there should be nothing to stop us to do the same, even if that time period for us, for the Jews, is 15 times longer or so than the Poles had to face. So there was a certain migration to what later became Israel, even at the start of the 20th century, even before the rebirth of Poland in 1918. But after that, then it intensified. So you had quite many Jews from Poland heading back to the Holy Land, and there were contacts between Polish officials and Jews that were somehow leaders in that group. It must be remembered that at the time, naturally, the Jews were not in control of the territory. They had not their own state. Neither did the Arabs, which later were termed as Palestinians. This was a part of the British Mandate. It had been part of the Ottoman Empire before the First World War. After the Ottoman Empire entered the war on the wrong side, in hindsight for them.
Adam, I'm sorry, the clock in the corner of the studio is telling me that the time for this programme is over, so if we could pause it there, we'll pick it up next time. There we are, as usual, time has defeated us, but fear not, if you join us next time, as we hope you will, we will continue the story here on Poland Daily History.